Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Hello, this is your Kanko Guido with Lost Without Japan, coming to you in a bit of a different format than you may have been used to in these over 4 years. What I'm going to be doing with this segment is basically at different times in different places on different subjects, all on Japan or the show. I'm just going to be recording and then putting all of these different segments together in one show. So I hope you kind of forgive me a bit in the show's audio quality at time if it is not exactly the consistent. Being that again, we'll be in different spots and not just at home in my kind of makeshift bedroom studio that I normally use to record. I don't know about you, but there are times where I think about something, to do for the show or a topic I'd like to cover, and then I forget to go about doing it, even if I, try to add a note or things that are here. So I thought, what better way to share these things with you than by this method that I'm going to go forward with. So I'm not sure if this is going to be just in the rotation, as is the interviews and with the good times and our day trips. If it's just going to be like a fourth segment or things, or if this is just going to come out when it comes out. But we'll see going forward. And you can already thank the elevator bell that you just heard, as I am at the Schaumburg Convention Center for our art convention for elementary, high school, junior high, and having a blast doing so. I just happen to have a bit of time before my next conference that I'm going to. Going to be a paid one that I went to, and looking forward to that. The first thing that I ended up wanting to talking about with you is just something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And for any of you that are listening to the show, I'm assuming you're consuming more about Japan, be it on YouTube or whatever social media that you're consuming, than just my show. If it's just my show, thank you. And if it's not just my show, also thank you for taking your time to do so. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that in Japan, I think the honeymoon phase of you being a foreigner and just being able to go there without knowing any Japanese is passing or has passed, especially in main cities. Now, for those of you who listened to me in the past, main cities are a great place to try to find someone that speaks English, but it's not something that I would look to rely upon going into, not at least introducing yourself in Japanese, right? Asking if you speak English, knowing that when we go to a convenience store, when they're asking if you'd like a bag or not, being able to tell them. That's a common thing when you go to a convenience store if you've not been to Japan before. Another common thing is if you buy something that could be reheated in a microwave, they're going to ask that, right? So no, just being able to, say hi or nod your head like, no, it's going to be a huge thing. Like I said, just introducing yourself, asking if they speak English, knowing that if you're in a restaurant that you can, even if you don't know Japanese, you're like, looking at the map, know English, right? But just be able to order what chef recommends, right? Or what the restaurant recommends will open up places that wouldn't be open up to you otherwise, knowing that if you're calling for a check, like what to do, some basic things, right? And for a lot of us, it's not like we're going to be thinking, oh man, I'm going to travel to Japan next month, right? You're going to have probably a year, if not a half a year or a couple years to lead up to your trip. And I would really just use whatever app or medium is open to you. Set a reminder to daily practice in your phone. Create some flashcards, be it physical or electronic, whatever it is, and set aside some time to go through those different phrases, right? And that way, when you go to Japan, you have those things. I mean, you don't need to be right? You don't need to be N1. You don't need to have a high level of Japanese proficiency, but being able to go to a adult establishment bar, average, and be able to ask for a drink, just those simple things are going to really endear yourself with the people that you're talking to And I really feel make your vacation better and the experiences you have, just be more warm, right? In the end, we are going halfway around the world for some of us, or, in the case of David, part of it, right? Still we're traveling pretty decent distance, and we're going to a place that doesn't most likely speak a language that we normally use at home. Um, and, take that extra effort just to do it. I really do feel that as time goes on, that having some base Japanese is really going to open up a lot. And if you don't, it's going to shut off a lot. And I want you to have the best experience you possibly can. One of the other thing, and this is kind of a reoccurring thing, is that you should really make your trip your own. It's wonderful to go for inspiration onto YouTube's or whatever social media platform that you're consuming Japan content from. But at the end of the day, you're not taking someone else's vacation. You are doing your own. And that may seem like a common sense thing, but really find some things that are of interest to you. If you like going on hikes, if you like going to museums normally, if you like going out to, fancy dining establishments back home, you're probably going to like doing the same in Japan. So set aside those times. You don't need to just go through different tourist areas and things like that on your trip just to make a post, unless, of course, that is something that is of interest to you. Like if you are, someone that is big into social media and you want to pay, post yourself at those different spots, you do you, right? At the end of the day, that's like something that I think is huge. I mean, you don't have to go to Tokyo. You don't have to go to Kyoto. You don't have to do anything on your trip except enjoy it and do the things that you want to do. There's nothing that says on your first trip to Japan you have to do these things. And if you don't, they're going to kick you out or not let you back in. So at the end of the day, I think just doing what you're looking to do, it's going to make your trip even more memorable and be something that is going to be a memory that you can take with you for some time, especially if you're sharing it with those that you're close to. With this recent day trip talks, changes, and things like that, that you may have heard if you're up to date on our episodes, or if you're a little bit behind and starting to catch up now, have missed, as the focus of the show's day trip episodes for a bit is going to be on the Popeye magazine, which is usually a fashion magazine within Japan, and it's recommendations for those within Japan for travel to, like different places. And it's kind of neat to see what is recommended, not for the tourists, for someone from overseas, but someone locally, right? And we just finished a two-part series on Okinawa, and we're going to be moving forward into Tokyo. And after that, we have some outlying islands, which I'm very excited to see what is recommended off the main island of Japan, and then a part of Kyoto as well. Normally we kind of try to stay to areas to go to that are outside of like the main ones that you normally do on a trip to Japan. But this different view is really kind of reinvigorated me just to see what others are recommending and just seeing different things that I may not have picked for you because it's done by somebody else, right? But I'm still spending 6 weeks of time coming up with these day trip episodes and seeing if they're available, seeing if they're really accessible to someone, depending on your level of Japanese, and really, seeing, is this something, share to you if it could be worth your time or maybe not. So I really look forward to sharing, how you can see Godzilla in Japan, in Tokyo, and among other places to stop at. And my hope is that you're going to enjoy this format. With that, next time you hear me talking, I'll be somewhere else at some other time. So enjoy. Welcome back. A few days after our release of Okinawa Part 2 and my like push to kind of have, being more active on our Instagrams page and things like that. I'm just interested to see how that carryover is to the podcast, which is really like my baby. in regards to everything else and what I get the most enjoyment out of. But that in and of itself is kind of like what led me to talk today. Beyond the beautiful, sunrise kind of coming up this morning, driving around into work, and you get the oranges and yellows into everything that are, shining onto trees and just kind of reminding you how beautiful things can be when it's, before like the Chicago gray comes, where that's all we're getting all the time. So trying to soak it in as much as I can. And it kind of made me think about Japan and what led me to share this morning, as opposed to doing what I need to in preparations for getting some of my students' artwork out. Work avoidance, never, not me. But, that balance, anyone who's listened to the show for any length of time, my weight is one thing that I'm constantly, seems like a struggle or, something to work on, and, slowly going in that right direction again. And, if I put it on this, then, have some accountability for those of you, that listen. But, slowly working it back down. I want to get myself to a significantly healthier weight, just for my enjoyment of my time when I get to go and return to Japan again with my daughter. Fitting in those airplane seats is nothing to joke about, and having as much space as you can on that flight is a luxury. So I'd rather not have to lose, a chunk of weight prior to going to Japan, be like 6 months out or 8 months out or whatever it is, and be like, man, I really need to lose weight before I go. So hoping that, that that's going to be the case. Just lose this and then keep myself at a significantly more manageable, weight long term. Not only will that, help me enjoy my time with my daughter then, but hopefully, lead to a longer amount of time once I'm in Japan full time. But it's, as you begin to work on those things, like if it's weight or, for me trying to get artwork out for school, or it's work or paying on dentist bills, or, being there for your kids, being there for yourself, being there for the show. I've got like one thing for the Tokyo day trip episode done so far, and that's causing me a bit of anxiety. But, I have this weekend to kind of work on things I need to for school, and also for the podcast. The only real plan I have set up right now is to go see my mom and dad and my sister and her wife on Saturday. And I'm very much looking forward to that time. But Sunday, really no plans besides, both days trying to sleep in a little bit. So, go grocery shop, do what I need to, come back, spend some time on our show. And, man, it's October's going to be done this Friday, and November is going to be right there. We have a parent-teacher conferences coming up, and that's, want to get some artwork and things out in the hall. But, like as you begin to balance one thing, it seems like, you're letting something else go, and it's getting back into that habit of having everything, be how it should be. I'm happier when it is, definitely so. And that's one thing I'd rather be in that place. So, for those of you listening to the show, what helps you? I guess my question for this segment that we're going to have right now is, what helps you keep that balance going and keeps going in that direction that you have? Usually a Japan trip on the horizon is that push for me. But knowing that that's 2 to 3 summers away, less of a force than I'd like it to be at this point in time. But no, reach out by email or, through the show's Instagram. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, gonna get going. Sorry it's not, completely Japan focused for today, but this is just, kind of a touch behind the show. Is that this segment's gonna be, or segments will be kind of come along, and then when you're listening to the episode, or be it a day trip or an interview or things like that, you'll kind of have like some background knowledge to what's going on. But I do want to say thank you to the new followers that have joined on Instagram. It has been a huge like growth for me, at least. I'm sure for others it's hundreds or whatever it is, but we've had about like, let's say almost 30 new listeners, or not 30 new Instagram followers, say, to our show. And that really, I hope is going to have some of you listening to this and get that thanks from there. But from doing this also, it's just, I have Mary, who's going to be an interview, hopefully, as long as our schedules connect at the end of December. And she's in Japan right now, and just again making more contacts, meeting more wonderful people, and that's really what's kept me going for more than 4 years, and will keep me going on before being able be able to interact with you and past guests of the show and other people whose passion is Japan has been huge, and one of those forces that keeps me able to do it every other week. So thank you again. Next time you listen, we'll be in the future. Hey everyone, back again. Today, if you follow Instagram, you're going to get this a bit earlier than when it comes out, but a little more detail here. But one of my favorite things to do in Japan before is to collect different transit cards. And part of why I do that is not only do I like the way that they look, but I like adding them to my wallet on my iPhone. I mean, you can add the Suica card, in there. And I also have iCoca, I have Passmo. And when you add money to them at home, I can't take it back off. So I can't spend it on other things. And when you get to Japan, it's one of those things you forget about doing until you go to start paying for things. And it's like having extra money on your trip. Having free money, it feels like at times, like, yeah, sure, I'll pay for this. Don't worry about it. But one thing that I forget from time to time when I go to add money is that one of the things that will help you is if it is a MasterCard or American Express. Visas at times run into issues, but that's not the only issue that you can run into. An additional issue that you can have is it just being declined, regardless of the fact that that is a card that you've used 100 times before. And that is most likely because it is at the wrong time. It is not a 24/7 service. It is not something that is constantly available. Won't be available on holidays at times, but it will, my friends, be available to you if the service is actually open in Japan. So if you're back in States or in Australia or other places like that, check the time and see what time it is in Japan. Most likely, if you're having issues, it's at a time when those systems are down. But it's truly, my friends, if you have, I believe in this, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I know for sure Swooka is one of them. I believe Passmo is another that you can add. But if you pick up transit cards in Japan, you can then add them to this, and they're not readily available here to do so. So grab them as you're going around, my friends. Some are, more prominent in different areas. The iCoca card is one when I'm in Hiroshima, I end up using more often. Your Suica is really like, your Tokyo based, things like that. But I've seen it be more, all over the place. But it's like Passmo again. Just have them, my friends. You can add up to the equivalent of like $600 US or 20,000 yen basically on these. And with exchange rates right now, I just went to order money for a friend. And, when I ordered it and it was like for $200, it was like the equivalent of like, $200 in Japan was so much less right now. So even if it's 2,000 yen that you're adding a week, which would probably end up being around $15 US, start doing it. Not per week, I'd say, but like, if it's a paycheck or once per month, that money will, like I said, can't be spent. Something else happens. It's in place of maybe, the a meal, fast food or, coffee or other things. But you're going to love having done so when you're there. And it is just a great habit to get into. And one of my favorite things to recommend to people that are traveling to Japan or thinking about traveling to Japan, it's just wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Hope your, time of this is Halloween. So, scary things, in regards to that, that payment not going through. But I'm truly thankful so much for the additional followers that are continuing to come through on Instagram. I know I've repeated this probably a couple of times, when I put this all together. Sorry for that, but I am truly thankful for it. Enjoy and look forward to more content coming up right after this. Hello, everyone. Just want to take a moment and say thank you. I've been doing a lot of posting, daily on Instagram, and it's taken over time. As I'm doing this and recording these, it's again over a set period of time. But in just a few weeks, I was able to add 100 new followers, and I truly appreciate it on my goal, like I've said, to get to 1,000 so I can go back to live streaming with some of our recordings. It'd be great to do a Good Times episode and actually be live with you while we recorded it. It's just something, for things to do or while on location in Japan, uh, to do that, or some day trip talks, just looking for those things. But I do want to thank friend of the show, Maurice, if you're listening right now. I came across what I had recorded for him in the past. For those of you new to the show, he's an amazing photographer, also part of our day trip, talks at times, but mainly Good Times Hiroshima, or him promoting his photo books. But one of the things we recorded for him when he was on in the past was a little blurb, basically, where he was saying to to start small. All of us have dreams and things that we want to do, or ideas that we have. And truly, at times, the difference between being able to do those things or not is just starting as small as you possibly can. And that made me think about, my show. And that's why I'm kind of putting in that extra effort. Even at times it feels like juggling a whole bunch of different things at the same time. One of them being the podcast, one of them being school, what I'm doing for my job. And we're kind of nearing towards getting some things together for art show. And it's like a constant thing that I'm doing, pulling things together for art, sorting them, making sure I've got everybody's. And, between all those things, it takes the time, which is, what kind of brings me here too, of the fact that there is a lot that I want to do with the show. And, both here, uh, in Japan, I'd like to see it continue. It's been more than 4 years and would like to see it, for another 4 years more, 8 years more. I'd like to be in Japan on location again with friends, or just as I live there, talking to you in whatever format that is at that point in time. But, needed that bit of a reminder or refocus. And to Maurice, thank you. I truly appreciate it. But I really do look forward to what's going to be coming along with everybody on this journey together. If you're new, go ahead and reach out. I always happy to say hi. Like I say, I help while you're on the trip, before the trip, or just hear you, gloat about what you did on your trip after it's done. Like I said, working towards our Tokyo day trip episodes, things like that, trying to study, get back into my Japanese studies, all, while being dad and doing things that come with that. So, we're getting there. It's inching. We're in November finally, my favorite month out of the year, favorite holiday being Thanksgiving. And at the end of the day, giving thanks a bit early in that regard, something I try to do all the time. But I am thankful for those of you that have been in from the beginning, joining now, or have joined along the way. We'll be back again as I've done a little bit more research of things for Tokyo and such, and update as things are going. And I do have some creative thoughts as to some things and projects that I'd like to do beyond just, our podcast. Not that the podcast isn't a lot of work, because let me tell you, especially for day trip episodes, it's a month and a half of constant work to try to get it done in time to record again. But I do have those ideas, and I'll kind of tease those out as I'm going along. Some of it, maybe practicing for time in Japan again. So if it's not Japan content, for some of my posts, just bear with me. I think you'll enjoy being along for the adventure, seeing the growth, seeing what the project turns into, and then coming to that being in fruition after my daughter and I are able to visit together and spend that time for their first journey. So just enjoy everything's going on. I hope things are going well for you. If not, I hope they're on the road, like I say, to a better one. Thank you, and we'll be back again. It's been a little while since I've recorded last. If the audio quality is different from the others, it's because I'm in another location. I just visited my dad and mom and sister and her wife, and heading back home, and figured that the hour and a half hour, 40-minute drive is a perfect time to kind of talk about some things that I've been meaning to record and haven't done so yet. One of them was just recorded a Good Times episode. And for the first time since April, Maurice and David and I were able to be in the same place at the same time, albeit virtually. And I am just so excited that we're able to sit down again. So we're going to look to try to set something up again. It is hard though, but it's worth it. And truly appreciate whenever we can all get together. I'm going to be adding some other guests to our Good Time episodes as well. Look to have that be something that's kind of ongoing and have a variety of members be able to get there. But as I was driving back, I don't know about the rest of you, but for those of you that are into Japan, much like myself, uh, when you get together with your friends and family, especially family, they do, at least mine, seem to come with information about Japan ready to share. And I had shared about the Suica card and being able to have that $2,000, you know, price, deposit basically that we talk about a little bit in the Good Times episode. And then they shared with me about the string of bear attacks that was going on in Japan. So, it's big news when it's even making it over here. But it's just, I appreciate the fact that when they do, both of them, hear anything having to do with Japan, that they take note of it and look to share that with me. It's truly means a lot when it's something like Japan that'll end up being a second home for me. Just means a lot. But I just wondering with you if you have the same things happen, or what do family members or friends kind of share with you for those of you that are looking to travel to Japan and everyone knows that this is your goal for a place to go visit for the first time? Or I know if you're looking to return on a or regular, semi regular basis, what does that look like for you? But we are I'm 5 more wake ups away from Thanksgiving break, and I cannot wait. I'm very fortunate in the fact that I get 9 days off. Some of that's going to be spent with my sister and her wife and my son, and we're going to go get my dad's birthday present because his birthday is at the end of the month. So we're all going to go take a bit of a trip to go do so. And I look forward to doing that because that's not something we've done much of, if at all, and we're trying to squeeze that time in because they are actually looking to head out to the Philippines, which is nice because I think it's around like a 6 hour flight from Japan to be able to visit them. They'll be out there, I'll be out there, and it'd be nice to have family that close. And I'm still crossing fingers and toes that Sam and Addison or one of them or will end up out in Japan somewhere too. But when you start planning ahead, and I for me at least, that plan that I have of moving to Japan in 8.5 years, for a lot of people, that's pretty far out, right? Man, I know, like my mom and my dad, I've been talking about doing this for years. I mean, they've put up with me talking about this for at least the last 15 years, 16 years of this being a plan that I had, for myself. And, but for me, kind of helps put everything else in focus. I'm going to be returning back to taking classes in January. Those of you that may have listened before, I was trying to get my special ed endorsement, which is like the LBS 1. And I'm going to be taking a class in the new year for that. I'm going to be looking to take a photography class to apply towards my art classroom and have an idea of basically looking to ask for the community to donate, um, you know, cameras, like old digital cameras that we can throw some, that have like a memory stick or something that's in them and let the kids go out and take some photos and have our art show in some way, shape, and form, actually have some photos to be with it. Thought that'd be a lot of fun and something kind of unique. It's not something that is commonplace in our area, especially for elementary school. We don't even have any digital drawing means or anything going on as far as pads, tablets, iPads, just anything like that. Other districts in my area do have some iPad drawing things going on. My district just definitely does not. we we're a bit far from that. With those plans and things like that, I've been talking with some friends that are out in Japan, and took some of today to plan some more Tokyo day trip ideas and things. I've been trying to continue to keep that posting going on for that way, shape, and forms for Instagram as we march towards 1,000, because I was looking to replace Riverside after my recent run-in with them with billing, and continue to have some issues with them. But unfortunately, the other alternative that's out there, and there's only one really for paid options and not just going back to doing hours of editing for things that I was doing, but it's like twice as much as what Riverside is. But I'm gonna have to get back in touch with some tech support because I have some issues. Whenever I did an interview with somebody, I created a studio. That way, if I hop back in an interview with them again, they already have a unique web address to go to. And with the new plan, you have one studio, and that is it. So everyone is funneled through that studio, and not a fan of that. I realize they give you a way to organize all of your information, like all the data and your interviews and things that you've collected. But for me, I've used this service for going on 3 years, if not a little bit more. So for me to have to try and organize 3 years of recordings into the format they have, number one, that's a lot of time. That's really unnecessary. You know what I mean? For me to have to go through. But I went out to tech support to talk to them, and I actually got a real person, not with billing, but with the tech support, and they told me that they would end up taking care of the issue. But of course, today, as I'm beginning to record, what do I see on there but the same issue? Like, you need to delete all your studios. I have, again, more than 3 years worth of use. I have 70, over 70 studios, over 70 interviews, over 70 different things that I've done in more than 4 years of recording. So, is what it is at the end of the day. But I just want to thank you for your support, for those of you that were on Instagram and gave an at to Riverside, because without you, I believe that I would still be getting, um, you know, emails that didn't answer the question or help me get the refund that I needed. So for those of you that were a part of that, thank you so much for your help. That was huge. Greatly appreciated it. And I just want to take a moment because I think this is going to probably be the last thing that I record, or second to last thing that I record for this group of kind of behind the scenes of the Lost Without Japan podcast. But if you can, going into this new year, me giving thanks to you. But if I could just ask for a gift from you, and that is just if you have that time to reach out to the show through Instagram, at Lost Without Japan, or Lost Without Japan at gmail.com. If you could just, reach out, let me know what you're enjoying about the show, what your favorite parts are, and possibly some things that you would like to see. If that would be day trips that are to some other locations. If you're mainly just an Instagram person and you happen to be listening at this, or a podcast person who hasn't made it over to the Instagram portion. I mean, I'd be nice to see your feedback too, just on both accounts. What would you like to see from the podcast over on the Instagram side of things, or what are you enjoying in the Instagram things that you might like to see for the podcast? Truly means a lot to have both of you, especially if you're taking the time to follow on both sides. It's truly, truly appreciated. But I'm, looking forward to sharing with you even more as we roll into the new year, leave this note episode is going to end up dropping before our day trip episode, or not day trip episode for Tokyo, and also the episode for Good Times with David and Maurice. If you're listening, at this point in time, it's going to be this note episode, Good Times episode with David and Maurice, first time again since April. And then that's going to roll into our first part of our Tokyo day trip. And that's going to get us close to doing some interviews. I have two different interviews that I'm trying to schedule for December. One that's pretty much set in stone for the very end of December going into the new year, and one with another past guest. Um, those of you that know from our interviews and things like that, he did a textbook on learning, Japanese and things like that. Uh, and a Hanshin Tiger fan. So looking forward to be able to meet back up again with that. But again, just like I said, being that this is heading into Thanksgiving, I just want to take a moment and give thanks for you. Give thanks for you using part of your time to, you know, uh, take the content of the podcast or the Instagram or both. Truly means a lot. And I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving break and that rolls into a great start to December. And this will bring us to an end for this edition of the Notes episodes. Let me know, like I said, what you think of this or other parts of the show. And just appreciate you being, on the road with me for some change as the show continues to grow and become, more and more of something that I look to keep doing with you for the years in the future. So for your Kanko Gaido, O Ginki Day, truly, truly, thank you.